The Racing Postcast in association with Paddy Power. They prize support UK and Irish racing the night before.
Hi there, it's Bruce Millington, and in the company of Nick Watts, Patrick Mullins, and from Paddy Power, Rob Catterson, we will have our usual Monday review of the weekend action. But it's not just a review podcast, this, not by any means, because tomorrow, on Tuesday, it's the Punchestown Festival. This ridiculous orgy of great jump racing just carries on. I can never remember such an intense period of such high-class jumps action. I've been spoilt by Cheltenham and Aintree. We've had the Sandown, obviously the final stages of the Trainers' Championship, and the action just keeps coming thick and fast. And some of the biggest name horses in jumps racing are going to be running at Punchestown, so we'll have a look ahead to that. But we will have a quick spin back through what happened at the weekend, and what a weekend it was. And unfortunately for Patrick Mullins and the rest of the team at Willys, it didn't quite work out. But looking back on it now, Patrick, you've had a little chance to digest things. Two questions. One, did you enjoy it? And two, will you be doing it all again next season?
Well, we enjoyed it immensely up until the part where we didn't win. But no, I think it was a great experience. And definitely got a bit of a taste for it. I was surprised at how much it hurt not to win it. I thought, if we won it, it was a bonus. But it's definitely something we would like to try and win.
Well, I think it's great to hear that you would, because, I think, obviously, Paul Nicholls makes no secret of the fact that he wants to win it, but everyone else is always a little bit sort of, well, we'll have a go, but I think it'd be great now, and will provide a superb narrative for next season if we do know that everyone's going for it. So, look, it made for a fantastic day on Saturday, and obviously finishing second rather than first in those ones did knock you back a bit, Patrick, didn't it? Ultimately, there's a little bit of controversy there with the withdrawal of Vroom Vroom Mag. How difficult a decision was that for you guys?
Well, I think it made sense. She was there as part of the team to try win the championship, a bit like a football player having a football team having a star sub to come on in. And once we couldn't win, the race was worth a lot less than the races at Punchestown, and the prestige of the race was a lot less than Punchestown. So once we couldn't win the championship, it made sense for us to go there. Now, I understand why some people will be upset, and we apologise to anyone who was at Sandown to see Vroom Vroom Mag, although she did walk around with a pretty parade ring. It was unfortunate, but I think it's an exceptional set of circumstances. And I would hope that most reasonable people would understand that. It was an exceptional set of circumstances, and I'm sorry for people who were there to see her in Sandown, but I think most people can see the sense behind the decision.
I would think that as well, Patrick. There may be a small number of people who backed her anti-post and haven't had that refunded, but everyone else, as you say, you've gone there to win the championship, and if she's not going to run, if you can't win it, then you're going to aim at a race, that's worth far more, particularly with Thistlecrack coming out. Would that be how you see it, Nick Watts, as well?
Yeah, definitely, and I think we've got to remember, it's like Lee Mottis had said today in the Racing Post, that Willie bringing his horses over has just brought so much to the end of the season. And he was at Perth last week. And when does Willie go to Perth? I think that was the first time ever. So a real treat for Scottish racing fans last week. And he was going to go here, there and everywhere to try and win it. It didn't quite work out, but I just thought it added immensely to the season. And it's to his credit that he brought them all over.
I agree. And, the kind of lasting memory for me is that, Mullins and Nicholls, to me, are the two absolute best jumps trainers there are now and have been possibly, ever. And to have them going head-to-head like that was superb. So, and great spirit as well. There was a really nice handshake between Willie and Paul. I think, there's certainly a rivalry, Patrick, isn't there? But it's healthy and respectful rather than, fueled with hatred, isn't it?
Oh, without doubt. There's one thing for sure, and that's that Paul Nicholls is, he's a true champion. He's the sort of trainer that people are going to be talking about in 50, 75 years' time, So there's no doubt that he's a bit of a legend in his own lifetime. So to be competing with him for his title in his backyard is, very special for us. And we pushed him all the way, and he takes a bit of pushing. But
what's the moment that you look back on and think, I suppose the obvious one is Vittoria Aintree, isn't it?
But that's the difference, isn't it? We're beating 97 and that was worth 110, but I'm sure Paul has ones like that as well that got away in that racing. So just this year we didn't quite measure up. And, Paul had a quiet January? Or a quiet month there anyway, and that opened the door for us. If he doesn't have that next year, it makes it very difficult for us. So perhaps that was our opportunity gone. But, if it's a case of after Cheltenham again next year that we're in with a chance, we'll be going all guns blazing again. But I don't see there going to be a huge change in how we campaign the horses pre-Cheltenham. If there's races there that suit, we'll go. But probably the championship will only come into the reckoning if Cheltenham goes well.
Good. Well, we look forward to another epic season next year, because last year's jump season, the one just gone, really was superb. And Rob Catterson, how are Paddy Power betting on next year's Jumps Trainers Championship?
Yeah, unsurprisingly, Paul's obviously favoured. He's 4-5, 5-4 Willie, 6 is Nicky Henderson, and it's 50s the rest. At the moment, if Willie does what he did this season, and there's no reason to say why he won't, it looks another straightforward match and another title championship to look forward to.
Yeah, and how much was betting interest stimulated by Saturday? I presume it was a pretty bumper day for the betting industry, wasn't it, Rob?
It was, and people were automatically either backing a Paul Nicholls horse or a Willie horse. They had 29 or odd between them at Sandown, and it was brilliant. And the big race, the celebration chase, the hype heading into that, with even though Paul didn't train Sprinter Sacre, like Sprinter against Undersaw it didn't maybe develop into the match we thought, but the hype beforehand was brilliant, and it was a fantastic Saturday of racing, and Paul probably a worthy winner just the way the results went the last couple of weeks. Yeah,
it was terrific stuff. I was there, and the atmosphere was an absolute cracker. And a couple of, one horse and one human we should talk about, Nick Watts. Sprinter Sacre, amazing, and Richard Johnson, fantastic stuff that, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Sprinter had a hard enough race at Cheltenham. I'm sure Patrick would say the same for Undersaw. There's nothing spared in that race, but they both come back and run absolute crackers. And Sprinter Sacre, it was a strong pace again on the weekend, side of Grugy and Undersaw, so it really, testing gallop. And he just sat off it and came through and won almost like the Sprinter of old. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be different challenges for him next season with Duvan and possibly Vautour, but let's worry about that then, and just congratulate him on a fantastic comeback. And Richard Johnson, I mean, he's been second so long. At the start of the season, he must have been thinking this is such a good opportunity, but will something happen just to scupper it, an injury, anything like that? It must have had doubt in his mind after going 2 decades without winning the thing. So for it to go like clockwork for him, he must have been absolutely delighted, and there was never any doubt, really.
No, it was a really nice element to the day. Did you get a chance to speak to Richard, Patrick, or I guess he was a busy man? You were a busy man yourself there, weren't you?
I did actually. After the last race, I went in to try get some free food in the jockey's room and ran into him there. So, so Richard's a gent, and as we said earlier, it's one of those very rare occasions where absolutely everyone is happy with the result.
Absolutely. And Nick Watts is talking about let's worry about Sprinter Sacre next season later in the year. No, let's worry about it now. Rob Catterson, 2017 champion chase. Can you dig us some prices out, please? And while you're doing that, I'm going to come out with a theory, and Patrick, you can either tell me to shut up or make one of those sort of little sounds that suggests I might be barking up the right tree. I think Vautour will win well tomorrow over 2 miles at Punchestown, and I think he will end up being the 2 mile candidate next year for the stable, and I think Duvan will step up in trip. So I think it might end up being Sprinter versus Vautour for next year's champion chase, which would fly in the face of the current market, Rob Catterson, which is as follows.
Yeah, I had a feeling you were going to mention Duvan stepping up in trip, Bruce, so I'm well prepared for you. He is odds on for the champion chase. It's for a Sprinter to win a 3rd champion crown. We're 8-1 top price for Tour, which, as you said, if he comes out and wins tomorrow, as the betting suggests, he'll probably be at half that price. And Duvan 16th for the Gold Cup top price. And again, Willie has mentioned the possibility of him being a Gold Cup horse, so at 16-1. I think it's worth a small few quid at this stage, given the possibilities that may face him.
Well, hold fire for 20 seconds, because Patrick can either slap me down and tell me not to be such an idiot, or say that there is some meat on this particular bone.
No, I mean, it could very possibly go that way. I'm afraid I can't tell you any more. I mean, what Willie's like, but it's both horses both horses could probably be competitive in the Gold Cup and the Champion Chase. So it'll depend on how Vautour goes tomorrow, and I wouldn't rule out Bruce's scenario being right.
Thank you. Good. Excellent. I shall get cracking the moment we come off air in that case. Because I mean, the thing with Vautour is that presumably, if you didn't think he was a Gold Cup horse, you would have run. You wouldn't have. Well, you didn't run him this year, presumably because there is still doubts about him getting the trip. You don't just want to become a Ryanair horse every year, do you? You know, he's got the speed over 2 miles, hasn't he? I mean, it'd be very exciting to see Vautour back, and we'll get a clue tomorrow, won't we?
Exactly. You know, he's only a short head off beating Q-Guard, who's probably, arguably the best horse this season in the King George over 3 miles. So, I don't think you have to take that into consideration as well. But tomorrow will tell a lot. Special Tiara, Simon Sig, God's Own, they're solid. That's solid Champion Chase form, and we'll know an awful lot more after tomorrow.
OK, we'll have a more in-depth look at Punchestown tomorrow in a sec. But first of all, chaps, I just want one personal highlight from each of you from the 2015-16 jump season. Nick Watts, we'll start with you.
It's got to be Rule the World for me. A horse who'd fractured his pelvis twice, a maiden chaser, David Mullins, 19 years of age, and Mouse Morris, who had a personal tragedy last year, for it all to be wrapped up in one result and for the horse to win like that and break his duck over fences, just extraordinary.
Certainly was, wasn't it? Patrick, what about you?
I'm going to agree. I think Rule the World was the result I got most proud of. At the back of an ambulance at the time, listening to the commentary. But I mean, David obviously is my cousin, and he's a fantastic rider. And for the Grand National is the race that counts, and for one of my cousins to win it was very, very special.
Excellent. Rob Catterson.
Even though I'm very much in the Mullins camp, to me, Sprinter regaining the Champion Chase was just phenomenal. Like, we'd all written him off 12 months ago, and some say he should maybe have never run again. So to do what he did on the second day of the festival, to me, was a memory that I think an awful lot of people who were there will have for the rest of their lives.
I agree with you, and you've put it so beautifully that I need not add anything. OK, back in a mo with the Tuesday Punchestown preview.
Here's Paddy Power's latest horse racing offer. It's money back as a free bet if your horse finishes second to the SP Fav at one meeting every day this month. Paddy Power, you're welcome. Max free bet £25, 18 plus. Please gamble responsibly.
Bruce Millington, Nick Watts, Patrick Mullins and Rob Catterson from Paddy Power are looking ahead to day one of the Punchestown Festival. So it starts on Tuesday, and like I said, if we hadn't had enough fantastic jumps action, we've got even more coming up. And the highlight on Tuesday is at 5:30. It's the Boyle Sports Champion Chase, 2 miles, and as we said, Vautour runs and Vautour wins according to the market. Rob Catterson.
Yeah, 2-7 Vautour, 5-1 Special Tiara, God's Own, who won an entry after Vautour fell, is 8-1. Simon Sig, what an addition he brings to the race. He's 12-1 and it's 33's bar, but for many it's Vautour bar a fall, but of course he has hit the deck in the past.
Nick Watts, what do you think will happen here?
Yeah, I think Vautour will win. I think God's Own is the biggest danger. He's won at Punchestown before at the festival, Grade 1 Novice Chase. I think the ground's fine for him, and he won at Aintree, albeit in lucky circumstances, but he'll be the one to follow Vautour home.
And you'd have no worries with Vautour?
No, absolutely none. He's a Supreme Novice winner in the past. He's got loads of pace, so absolutely no problem over 2 miles. OK, Patrick, how is Vautour? How's he come out of Aintree? And another question for you, just regarding the whole of the meeting, really. Good to yielding at the moment. Does that meet with your general favour?
Yeah, good yielding. It's just on the slow side of good. It's been very dry. It's been very dry here recently, so I think they've been watering since maybe last Thursday or Friday. Richie Galway and Punchestown, they always do a fantastic job, so the ground will be perfect for all of ours. Vautour's come out of Aintree fine. It was an unfortunate fall. Unusual for him to make a mistake like that, and hopefully he would have learned from it. And look, it stepped back to 2 miles over fences, but he won at Supreme Novices, and you would like to think he should be a class apart indeed. Although Special Tiara and God's Own, they run well in the Champion Chase. You'd be disappointed if Vautour didn't win. OK, 4:20. It's the Grade 1 Novices Hurdle in which York Hill heads the market. Before Rob gives us his prices, just with York Hill at Aintree, Patrick, is there a slight fear there that he kind of underperformed compared to how he did at Cheltenham, and that maybe the season's catching up with him? I don't think so. I thought it was an extraordinary performance to win, considering what he did. I mean, he ran far too keen for basically 2 miles, and jumped sloppily. Went to try and jump the chair after the last hurdle, and still managed to get. I think the Parisien got upside him, and he goes away wins 2 lengths. My only worry is it was such a good performance. I think he had a harder race there than he did in Cheltenham. Now he seems fine at home. He wouldn't be sending him otherwise. But it's for what should have been an easy race. It turned into a hard race for him. I think dropping back to 2 miles would help him settle. Going right-handed will probably help him a little as well, because he seemed to be running to the right when he was getting keen with Paul. And I would have bumped on him here last year, so he handles the track. And bar Aintree has left a mark. He should be a class apart. But I think dropping back to 2 miles on good ground will help him settle a lot.
Nick, can you see any dangers here with York Hill?
No, not really. Maybe Petit Mouchoir. There's a really good run behind Bouverdere at Aintree, and there's caveats about all these horses in terms of just it being at the end of a very, very long season. You're never quite sure how they're going to react to it. But yeah, York Hill should win. But I would give a positive for Petit Mouchoir. I thought that was a good effort at Aintree.
And Patrick, great to have Ruby back, I guess.
Yeah, he's been right out the last few days, and just wasn't back in time for Sandown. But Ruby's a huge asset to have, and obviously. He's some man to get back from the injury. He got an injury already, so fingers crossed now he can stay sound for the whole week.
Absolutely, let's hope so. So, Rob Catson, what price of Paddy Power going York Hill?
Yeah, we're 1 to 2 as we speak. He'd probably be even shorter, I think, if he didn't run an Aintree. But obviously he's a favourite. Maybe we want to take on, given that he possibly had that hard run in Aintree. 7 to 2 Petit Mouchoir, 7 to 1 Charbel, who was 4th in the champion bumper here last year, and it's 20s bar. But the double York Hill and Vautour is working out at even money, which will be the obvious bet for many.
People are getting the taste for these daily doubles and trebles now, aren't they, Rob? I mean, it happened at Cheltenham on the Thursday, didn't it? Happen again at Aintree on the Saturday. So I guess you kind of put your tin hats on when the cards fall in such a way that these doubles arise. Yeah,
and you have to, like that treble on Grand National Day with Thistlecrack, Duvana and York Hill was working out at even money about a treble, which generally, even money about a treble wouldn't appeal, but people couldn't get enough of it, and you never really had any doubts, I suppose, other than York Hill. But like this will be a double tomorrow that everyone will back blind, but it's 5 days, it's a long week. And we've seen, Thistlecrack and Don Cossack obviously not running, but there will be a strange result or two over the 5 days, and it's obviously our job to put up these doubles.
Absolutely. And the other Grade 1 on the card, 640, the Novice Chase, and there's another Mullins favourite, Rob, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. It's a more wide open contest. Outlanders is the market leader. Of course, he went to Cheltenham and he ran in the Powers Gold Cup. He's a 5 to 2 chance. Henryville, David Jennings obviously fancied him at Ayr, but he didn't run. He's a 7 to 2 chance. Sabana, who of course that tragedy at the start in the JLT, is a 9 to 2 chance. 6 to 1 Ruled the World. The boys have mentioned him. Great to see him back. 7's Noble Endeavour, 9's Bar, but it's a more wide open Grade 1, and there's a possibility we could get a result here.
Who do you like, Rob?
Possibly Zabana. He was well back for the JLT. He's placing in Grade 1 company over hurdles at 3 miles, and he finished 3rd behind Jetski and Hurricane Fly last season. And at 9 to 2, I think he could be the value, and a fresher horse as well.
Fair enough. I think you're overplaying it a little with Tragedy, but having backed him at the time, I suppose I can see where you're coming from. Nick Watts, who's going to come out on top here?
Yeah, I like Zabana for the reasons that Rob just said. I'm amazed to see Rule the World back. I thought the plan was to retire him after Aintree's heroics, but he's back a couple of weeks later, so extraordinary if he could double up. I can't quite see it, but good luck to them.
Okay, and Patrick, how's Outlander?
Outlander's in particularly good form. Sonny Carey, who rides him out every day, just said to me 2 or 3 times in the last week of how well he is in himself. He's 10 pounds clear of Zabana. He's 10 pounds clear of Zabana on ratings, and I think he ran to his rating in the Powers Gold Cup. The winner was rated a few pounds ahead of him and finished a length or 2 ahead of him. I think if he runs to his rating again, he should get some compensation for his fall in Cheltenham and his defeat at Ferios.
Very interesting to hear you say so well, so that's a tip in itself. And there's a couple of bumpers on the card. Patrick, who do you ride?
I ride a horse called Jenkins for Nicky Henderson in the Land Rover bumper. He's an Asmore horse that won a bumper very impressively, and it's great to get a ride for Nicky. although the last time I rode for Nicky in this race, I got off on my father's horses, which we thought was absolutely no good, and Johnny Burke went and won the race on it, and I finished last on Nicky's. So Willie has nothing for it this year, but Nicky's quite keen on this horse. The horse that all the word is for is a horse called Hardline. I think it's an Arcadio of Gigginstown and Gordon Elliott. I was a little surprised not to see Jamie Codd or Nina Carberry on it today, but Luke McInnes rides at Clem 7. Luke's a very good young rider. He's quite stylish, had a few winners. But Punchestown is a different kettle of fish. Big fields, fast ground, bends are tight, and it's a big ride for Luke. So there'll be a bit of pressure on for him.
And then you've got one in the last as well, haven't you? Chlaus Emery. Yeah,
Chlaus Emery. Well, that's how I pronounce it now. You could be right. Horse for Luke McMahon. He works well. He's definitely up to winning a bumper. Whether he's up to winning in Punchestown is a question. He's quite a light-framed horse, so we haven't been working him hard, pushing all the buttons. We've kind of been taking a softly approach. I'd be expecting him to run well, but I wouldn't be surprised if he improves from the run.
Okay, and obviously let's have a skim through the rest of the week at Punchestown. 5:30 on Wednesday, the highlight of the day and possibly the week. It's the Gold Cup. And Rob Catson, how do you bet?
Well, as it stands, Bruce, Q cards 1-2. Obviously, with the sad news with Don Costiga and Vittorio going earlier in the week, he's a rightly odds-on favourite. 1-2 is probably about the right price. Jack Adam and Don Poli, who both took him on at Aintree, go head-to-head again. 6-1 joint second favourites. Road to Riches, 10-1, 20-1 Carlingford Loughlin, and 33's Bar. But after the season that he's had, Q card, it'd be a near perfect ending if he could manage to win this after finishing 12 months ago.
Will we get the near perfect ending, Nick?
I think we will. Yeah, he ought to. You're looking at that Aintree race. He beat Don Poli and Jack Adam easily. I was slightly surprised to see Jack Adam have another go, actually, because I thought he looked a bit tired at Aintree, like he was feeling his Cheltenham run a little bit. Ruby never got into a good rhythm on him, I didn't feel, but he's taking his chance again. I think the big danger could be Road to Riches. I feel a bit sorry for him this season because he's kind of been shoehorned out of things a little bit.
He doesn't care. He's just a horse. He doesn't care, man.
But this could be his chance to shine. There's no Don Cossack around, unfortunately, this time, but I think the ground will be okay for Road to Riches, and this could be his best chance of the season to nick a big one.
Patrick, how do you see your two's chances here?
I think it's going to be difficult to turn the form back around with Q card. I don't see why we would. Q card for me is a standout horse this season, and but there's good place prize money, and you should never be afraid of one horse. Q card, he might get a flat tire on the way over, or something could happen in the race. He might just run below par. But I think we're playing for minor honours again. And
who would you choose out of the two?
I think I'd be going with Don Poli. Jack and he had a hard race in Cheltenham, and he wasn't maybe at his best in Aintree. And I think Don Poli, the horse, maybe keeps a little bit for himself. So if you're looking at races coming quite quickly, the horse keeps a little bit for himself. Might be the fresher horse at the last race.
Rob Catson, quick show on the Novice hurdle that day.
Yeah, Bells Hills 2-1 after his near miss in Aintree, having stepped up in trip. 4-1 Acapella Bourgeois for Sandra Hughes. He's been going great guns on this side of the water. Emerging Forces 6s, Gangsters 8s, 9-1 Coney Island, and 12's Bar.
Who are you going to be backing, Rob?
Coney Island, perhaps. This was his only entry all week. He battled well to win at Ferryhouse when things didn't really go his way, and in a race that is possibly more open than the betting suggests, at 9s, I give him a big shout.
I do like an Eddie Harty. Nick Watts, who do you like?
I like Bells Hill. For whatever reason, he doesn't seem to perform at the Cheltenham Festival, but he always comes back. He did it at Aintree last year, and then he did it again at Punchestown. This year, he's come back with a great run at Aintree. I thought Patrick gave him a lovely ride. I thought, he did everything bar win, but could make amends this time, I think.
What do you think, Patrick?
Yeah, last year he ran bad in the Cheltenham bumper. He was second in the Aintree bumper and came out and won in Punchestown. So he's obviously not a horse that minds backing up. I think the time period's a little shorter this time. I'd love another go on him at Aintree. I don't know why he made the bad mistake the second last, and then at the last, instead of hurdling it, he jumped it like a chase and landed at the back of it. He's used an awful lot of energy jumping the last hurdle, gone up in the air, and he got tired in the last 100 yards and just got run out of it. I would think, having the course form from last year, I think he should get his redemption on Wednesday.
Okay, and we've also got on Thursday we've got the Ladbrokes Champion Stayers Hurdle. Vroom Vroom Mag will run. Alpha Des Obo provides the main market rivalry. Rob Catterson.
Yeah, as we speak, it's 15 to 8 about Vroom Vroom Mag. She was as big as 12, but obviously at that stage this race wasn't on the cards. 2 to 1 Alpha Des Obo. Looks as though Willie's also going to have possibly Shane's Hill. He's a 4 to 1 chance, and 8 Spar, but a real head-to-head here in Vroom Vroom Mag. Of course, Cuvega managed to win it for 4 years, and she was a mare, and Vroom Vroom Mag gets a £7 allowance, which will be a big help.
Who do you like here, Watsy?
I quite like Diamond King. Not a horse we mentioned yet, but I think he's about 8-9 to 1. Won the Coral Cup really well last time. Deserves this step up in grade, and this race has produced some funny results in the past. Remember Jetson winning it a few years ago, beating Cuvega. So maybe Diamond King can come along and spoil the party.
Patrick, who do you think will run from your yard, and who do you think will run best from your yard?
Well, I imagine Vroom Vroom Mag goes here, and Shane's Hill possibly too. It'd be great to see Vroom Vroom take on the Geldings in a Grade 1. I've been waiting for that for a while now, and hopefully she can back up what we think of her, and especially getting the £7, it should be very difficult for the Geldings to give that weight away to her. Obviously Alpha Des Obo ran a cracker in Cheltenham, but he was kicked out of the park, and I think Shane's Hill's performance in Aintree would probably got as close as Thistle Crack. So hopefully he can get placed again. Shane's Hill, he did win the champion bumper in Punchestown a few years ago, so he does like the track, and he was only 2 or 3 lengths behind Thistle Crack in the champion Stayers hurdle last year, novice hurdle. But I think Vroom Vroom is the one. We've made no secret of what we think of her, and hopefully this is the time she goes and proves Paul Keeley wrong.
Exactly, yeah, I was going to say, shut kills. He was in annoying form, wasn't he, Patrick? We were together on the balcony when I think he backed his 6th winner of the day, and he was giving it the big one, wasn't he? So you'll be hoping Vroom Vroom shuts him up, yeah?
Exactly.
Good. And obviously we're going to see Duvan as well on Thursday. I'm over on Thursday. I'm very much looking forward to that. My old mucker Duvan. He's in good shape, is he?
He is. Gail Carlisle, who rides him out, is very happy with him. He didn't particularly get, he wasn't extended in Cheltenham or Aintree, so that gives him a better chance of, running to toughest form again. But look, what more can we say about Duvan? It's been said. Hopefully, just he can get a clear round, and we can get him back for next season and have an awful lot of fun with him.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm looking forward to Duvan next year. Okay, well, we've got a postcast on Friday, so we'll wrap up the Friday and Saturday action then. But I think we'll also have a little look before we go at the Guineas and also get everyone's best bets for Punchestown.
Here's Paddy Power's latest horse racing offer. It's money back as a free bet if your horse finishes second to the SP5 at one meeting every day this month. Paddy Power, you're welcome. Max free bet £25, 18 plus. Please gamble responsibly.
Okay, Nick Watts, you've got the whole first 3 days of the Punchestown Festival to choose from. Give us one horsey.
Yeah, first race on Tuesday, Wish You Didn't, trained by Ender Bolger. I think Ender's won the last 3 renewals of this race. Wish You Didn't won it last year. Nina Carberry's chosen it out of 3 Bolger horses. I think he'll get favourite backers after a brilliant start in the first race, first day.
Patrick Mullins.
I'm really looking forward to riding Invitation Only on the winners on Thursday. I think he's a very good horse, and I think he should take a bit of beating in the winner of the one bumper.
Excellent. Rob Catterson.
Yeah, I'm not going to be here Friday, so I'm going to give you Tombstone on Friday in the 2.5 mile novice hurdle. It doesn't look as though there's going to be a Willie's hot pot, and he deserves a big one, Tombstone, after following home in, and that's so on Friday for Gordon Elliott, Tombstone.
Will you be at Punchestown on Thursday, Rob?
I will.
Oh, excellent. We can say hello in the flesh for the first time. That would be nice. Okay, before we go, though, obviously Saturday we're back on the flat, the focus on the Kitco 2000 Guineas and Air Force Blue. Is he hardening all the time, Rob?
He is. We're joint best price 4 to 6 at the moment. I think he'll be the first odds-on favourite to win since Frankel, if he can manage to win. But listen, Aidan has said he's the best 2-year-old they've had. The confidence is great. They said the preparation has been faultless, and it looks as though the ground is drying out, so it's going to be fast ground, which is what he wants.
Whoa. I wouldn't be too sure about that. I really wouldn't. No, I think there's bits of rain all week. I mean, it's going to be one of those ones that you could be absolutely right, but you might be in for an unpleasant surprise if you bank on it being being fast.
Well, the rain is possibly one of the ways he'll get beat then. So if the rain does arrive, he's going to be bigger than 4 to 6 in the day, isn't he?
He certainly is. And what about Stormy Antarctic? Does that lead your market without the Fav?
It does. He's obviously 6 to 1 to win the Guineas. On the back of that Craven win, he was very good. He's proven on soft ground. He was second in a heavy ground Group 1 in as a 2-year-old. So he's 5 to 2 in the betting without, and it's 4's bar. And if the rain comes as you're suggesting it will, he's definitely going to be popular.
Who's your Guineas fancy?
If the ground stays fast, Air Force Blue will win. It's that simple. I think if there is rain around, as we just mentioned, Stormy Antarctic will be favoured. I quite like, on form, I quite like Buratino. He's the only horse to have beaten Air Force Blue, but noticeably reticent Braveheart in the lead up to this. Loves Lumiere in 1,000, but is not very confident, it appears, about Buratino.
And Patrick, I guess it's such a busy time for you guys with Punchestown. Do you keep one eye on the flat?
I haven't been keeping an eye on the Guineas, but I'd love. Usually go to the Irish Champion Stakes, always a great race, and the Arc was that Steve Stars Arc, which is I'm going to try and get back there. There's always a whip over Tipperary that day, so
excellent.
So keep an eye on it, right?
Well, I'm sure you've heard the vibes for Air Force Blue as his career's developed, though. I think you're about an hour and a half from Aiden's, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm not far at all. So I've been down there once, so it's an amazing place. I mean, the morning line was amazing the other day.
It was really good, wasn't it? And one thing I noticed, having had the pleasure of being at your place recently, is just how different the approaches are. Aiden's, it's I wouldn't call it clinical and regimented at all, because I think it was relaxed and calm. It's very peaceful and tranquil, wasn't it? Whereas I think yours, it's just a bit more fun, and it's just all kind of, you get on with it, and it all happens. It all kind of comes together. Would that be fair?
Yeah, I mean, ours is very much organised confusion.
I didn't want to say that.
Yeah. But I think probably maybe Aiden training 2-year-olds and flat horses is probably it's a different ball game. So, whereas in our place you have dogs running out, diggers appearing, tractors and everything. Our horses are a bit more bomb-proof, I think. No,
well, they're both fantastic examples of how you do it right. So I wish you all the best this week, Patrick. I hope the week goes very well for you. But Nick Watts, I hope you tip plenty of winners. And Rob Catterson, I'm afraid I hope you do your absolute brains and the punters come out on top. Thank you very much for joining us. Back on Friday for another Postcast.
The Racing Postcast, in association with Paddy Power. They stream all UK and Irish racing live on your mobile, tablet or PC.